Welcome guys to round 5 for Division 1 here in Austria. Um, just going to welcome my friend Vivek to the commentary and yeah, hopefully we can put on a good race for you guys.
Yeah, thanks again. Yeah, looking forward to a good race here in Austria. We had quite an exciting end to the last race in France. In case you guys missed it, it is still on the... We streamed that last week. I'm going to go through the standings. Not much has changed since the last round. We did have some post-race penalties which changed some of the finishing positions, but Black Box still leads the standings with a 15-point gap to Schender, who unfortunately retired late on. Then we've got Inception, LMN, who won the last race in France, Zentricity, Warex Rage, Ravaco, Lord Discodas, Hexagon, and Ruffy round out the top 10. We've got Randy, Lukester, and James, Tesla, Dobby, and then the drivers yet to score are Miguel Rabuki, Beast Haas, Alexis Garcia, and Baloo.
Thank you for that, mate. As we put on bang on time, we get our first car to track, which I think is Lukester. Yes, it is. So the racing point is out on track. As I just wanted to add, it would be nice to see you guys interact in the chat as well, so let us know how we're doing, but also any points, whatever you want us to go over, or any drivers you specifically want to see, let us know in the chat, and we'll aim to give you guys the best commentary experience we can.
So just having a look, and it seems in the practice session the drivers were running maybe 1 minute 2s. I know Schender says 1 minute 2.4 was like the kind of lap times they were reaching, so it'll be interesting to see whether they can get close to that or even eclipse that in this session.
Yes, I expect a pretty tight qualifying as well due to the short nature of the track, and let's see who can actually set a lap time, with track limits being a big factor around here. As we'll ride on board with a racing point, as he's going to be the first one to set a lap around this track. Heading into turn 1, braking 75 meters. Let's see, a bit of snap oversteer, but gets on the power nicely. As he's going through the little kink of turn 2 into the heavy braking zone up the hill. Take a nice wide line. Can he get some good traction around here? Yes, he will. In third gear, a bit of wheel spin actually, so not the most optimized traction zone. He's now going back down the hill. Bit of a lock-up, goes wide, so it's not going to be a good lap I don't think from him, but hopefully a decent banker. Let's see if he can keep within the track limits.
Back end tried to slide out a bit there. And there's a yellow flag in sector 1, so somebody might have gone off.
As he fires it into the last 2 right turns. I think he's just about, no, he's invalidated on the last corner, so not a good 1035 as his banker, but not able to put that on the board, as Inception does a 1027, so straight away into the 102, so it's something what we like to see around here, as James does a 1031. Let's see who else is about to finish the lap.
Black Box is coming round the final corner now. Opens DRS, runs to the line.
I think he might have been.
I think he might be starting his flying lap now actually, so
okay.
Apologies for that.
As let's see who else is about to come across the line, as Randy is about to cross the line for it to start his lap. As we'll ride on board with Black Box on his. No dramas at the top of the hill, so seems to be a pretty clean lap so far. He's now going to go down into the braking zone at turn 4. No lockups there, going a tad bit wide from the apex, but gets a good exit. As got a bit of traffic up ahead. Let's see if he can keep within the track limits through here. Yes, he does, quite
tidy through there.
And then yes, even through the exit, no drama so far. Not sure how optimized his lap is so far, but as he fires it into the last 2 right-handers, still within the track limits, which is good. And yeah, pretty clean lap.
See how this compares. He goes quickest by just under a tenth of a second there. So people trying to put in a good banker lap, stay within the track limits, I guess, is the most important thing.
And more importantly, he doesn't maximize the width of the track, so he definitely has more time in the car. So
meanwhile, we
worrying for other drivers.
Meanwhile, we have some more times on the board. Rabuki, James, Estima, Ravaco, and Miguel. Ravaco being the last guy in the 103s, Miguel's in the 104, about a second off his teammate. But he is on the medium tyres, so plenty of time still to find.
As Ferrari of Mancio gets very squirrely at the exit of turn 1, so having to abort this lap. So gonna have to go again on those soft tyres.
Schender now coming through the final corner. Lap time seems to be okay for now. He doesn't seem to... Oh, he's invalidated this time, so bit of a shame for him. He's going to have to go again. It's his second lap.
As we just saw earlier, a McLaren in the gravel, but no dramas so far, I don't think. Let's see who else. I think the drivers will be going on the second
to third. He gets into the 102s just about, and that puts him into the top 3 for now.
As the AlphaTauri of Bloodshed is on an out lap, or no, just on another warm-up lap, I believe, or... Yeah, I mean his time saving of 5 minutes, so I think he had a bit of drama somewhere on the lap, but expecting to start a lap now on the medium tyre, so a different strategy compared to others.
The two Racing Points got very close on their out laps, Tesla just slowing down to give his teammate some space and give himself some breathing room for his qualifying lap. So these guys are about to go and set some times. Let's see what kind of pace they can find. I think Luke's just starting his out lap, closely followed by Tesla.
Let's see what Cyrus Kane can do in the Williams as he's approaching the last 2 turns. There's a 1:35, so not the best lap, but I'm sure there's more time in that car, so we expect to see him a bit higher up, I think. So yeah.
Bloodshed puts in 10th fastest at the moment, but again on the medium compound tyres, so probably just a sighter lap, a banker lap to try and see where he can improve.
Yeah, I presume so, as he is half second away from the next medium runner, so let's hope that he could set a better time on those mediums.
Tesla comes around the final corner down the straight.
We could expect a similar tyre situation to France's last race, as one stop is easy around his soft to mediums, but the puncture territory is pretty imminent towards the end of that race.
And we did see some late punctures which changed the face of the race very quickly in the final few laps, so I'm sure those who were involved don't want to get involved in that again. So looking after the tyres is going to be very important here, and maybe making that extra stop might save their races.
We've seen Hexagon just put in a 1:25, so this track evolution, the cars are going much quicker now. So let's see, expect potentially 4 runs from the drivers, as the track is pretty short, so could expect
it is quite a short lap, so they can have plenty of runs, but I'm sure they're going to try and have as many mistake-free runs as possible.
Driver set to yet to set a lap is Schender, so he's about to start one now. So let's hope. Oh, as he invalidates turn 1 straight away. So still struggling to get a lap time on the board, as well as Tesla, Randy, Ruffy, and Mancio. So
Tesla as well invalidated his lap, so he's going to have to go again.
As the Ferrari of Mancio is on a lap right now, so let's see what he can do as he's going down the hill into turn 4.
Miguel improves to P8 meanwhile in the second McLaren. And we've got Rabuki coming into the pits.
Ferrari just
Williams.
about keeping it within the white lines at the second sector split. So definitely maximising the width of the track on his lap. As he
keeps it within the track limits, but he had to lift a little there, and he's got some understeer going through the last sector. So let's see.
He invalidated as he went a bit wide, so I think that liftoff was trying to make sure he doesn't invalidate that lap. In the end, he did invalidate that lap. So
he was pushing those track limits as far as he could, and he just came up short there. So maybe he just needs to get a lap in. His teammate Ruffy's on a warm-up lap on the medium tyres, so
let's see what Black Box can do. He's already 20 milliseconds up on his time, as he's 16 milliseconds down, so he's lost around 35 milliseconds on this lap as he's invalidated.
He's slowing down.
So potentially going into the box, putting a new set of tyres on, or he will reattempt this lap. Let's see. Yes, he will. So he's going to reattempt this lap on these tyres. As he invalidates again at turn 1, so definitely now pushing those track limits. So his first lap was pretty good and he wasn't extending that far, so I think now he's just testing the waters a bit and seeing where he can push the car.
I say that the driver who puts the car on pole might do so not because they put the fastest lap in, but because they put the cleanest lap in, because we've seen some guys improving on their lap times but just invalidating, especially in the last sector. We've been seeing a lot of laps invalidate here as James spins.
So 2/10 up on his
time at the last corner
and
in the McLaren.
Maybe the pressure getting to him a bit, and he just lost it. So let's see who else is on a lap right now.
We've got its makers on a lap in the Alfa Romeo, going through the final corner.
We can do just on the white line, so 1 minute 3, so
stays in 12th place by the looks of it.
I think that lap was actually a bit of a lap that's gone wrong, because on the time screens it said a 1 minute 40, I think, so and he's invalidated the second one, so he's definitely going to have to go into the box. He has enough time for a last run, so plenty of time for him to set a lap and improve, as LMN is on a lap now, heading into the second sector split. Nearly 2/10
just behind him is James in the McLaren, so let's see what these guys can do. They're running 5th and 6th right now, very closely separated, very, very close, both in the 102s. As LMN comes around the final corner.
Oh, just about keeps it in the lines. Expected 2/3/10 improvement. Yes, it is. Oh, just a 10th.
Goes ahead of his teammate in 4th, and behind him.
Wasn't the best of last turns, I don't think, so definitely another 10th in the bag. And still a further 2/10 away from pole position right now, so let's hope his last run will give him pole position, as Hexagon's 60 milliseconds down on his time. So let's see what he can do as he's
Schender is now coming round to start his flying lap by the looks of it, so let's see if he can put in a clean lap. He has had some pace in this series so far, so he definitely wants to be starting further up the grid.
As Hexagon is now 68 milliseconds down in his time, so probably not the best lap. Let's see if he boxes and then just waits for his last run, as he's opted to stay out. So actually no, he boxes the line, but he has cut the pit entry in qualifying, so I'm not sure if that's going to affect it, as the race driver's notes in the briefing did say that any cutting of the pit lane entry will result in a 10-second time penalty. So
penalty this early on in the race weekend, whatever, is going to be detrimental to their race. So let's see what happens with that.
If the race director's notes said that it's also classed in qualifying, but definitely in the race, expect 10-second time penalties at the end for.
Just watching Schender right now, approaching the final sector, really throwing the car in, but he's invalidated his lap time, and he has cut the pit lane entry very hasty into the pits there. So. Not very happy at the moment by the looks of it.
Not the bestest of driving standards, I don't feel, not respecting the race director's notes, but yeah, we'll see if
the emotions running behind the cockpit. He wants to get back into the pits as quickly as possible, but the rules are being written, then they have to be followed by the drivers.
Almost
And
like Hamilton 2019 in Germany, where you cut the pit lane. So
he did,
and he got a
yeah, and
penalty.
he did get a
So,
penalty for that, didn't he?
as Mancio in the Ferrari is about to start a lap. So let's see if he's still yet to set a time, as well as Shen, the Tesla, and Randy, all struggling to set a time. I would say just set a lap time, even if it's not the quickest, just so you have one banker in. But,
And it could be the difference between you qualifying down in 17th, 18th, and you might be able to pop it into 11th, 12th with just a clean, careful lap, while your rivals invalidate theirs. So I think some people may have to do that as a last resort, as we see. I think
as Randy is struggling to get back into the lobby, even with a load of invites, so game issues for Randy.
I was wondering why we haven't seen him out on the track for a while.
So the second Mercedes is struggling. I don't know if he will be able to get into the session in time for to set a lap. I don't think he will. So struggles in the Mercedes camp.
Lots of activity in the pit lane. A lot of drivers are coming out for what will probably be their final run. And the make or break for some drivers who have yet to set a lap or have yet to set a representative lap.
As you can see, Black Box in the Mercedes behind the racing point on his out lap.
Now he might have to back off a little bit just to give himself some space for his final run.
As Randy's struggling to get back into the session, so the game not doing him well and ruining his chances for a good race today. As Hexagon is exiting the pit lane, so he's still got enough time to have a nice comfortable out lap, not take too much energy out of the tyres and set a time. As Ecos is on an out lap now as well, so all the leaders on an out lap. Black Box is the first of the leaders to start a lap, so we'll ride on board with the Mercedes. Let's see if he can find that crucial 10th in the bag to get pole position.
He does have a very good chance of pole, only a 10 separating them, unless of course Hexagon can improve or any of the drivers can improve.
Not pushing
So
the track
far, so
limits in
good.
T1, so I think sticking to what he knows best and just not taking advantage or messing around with the limits. But he is 3/10 down already, so I think he just did not have a good turn one and he's decided to back out that
He's
lap.
backed off. So looks like that's, unless he can get to the line in time, that could be his qualifying done.
As James goes too deep into turn 4 and that's his lap done as well, so the pressure getting to him and not able to set a good lap time in the depth of qualifying. As Inception is he's also not able to set a lap time as he invalidated
He's
before he
been
started his lap.
invalidated.
So even before the lap, not invalidating, as Shenda goes up with a 102.4, so Mandy
Finally
just set that
gets a
lap
lap in. Yeah, and it's provisional pole by a 1/10 of a second. So
as LMN is also invalidated before he even started his lap, as the last turn is very strict with track limit, so as soon as you cut that line even before you start your lap, that next lap will be invalidated.
So track limit seems to be the word of the day here. Seems to have ruined quite a few drivers' days. And let's see as James comes to the line in the McLaren. Currently a 102.8.
5 milliseconds up on his time in that Red Bull. Can he pip his teammate for P5?
See, he's coming through the last sector now.
As the Alpha Tauri and Red Bull of LMN are separated by only 1 millisecond, so those Red Bull cars, like last
And
time,
Rage
are very
gets
tight.
into fourth, so he leapfrogs both his teammate and Inception in the
By
Alpha
only
Tauri.
2 milliseconds, so 2 milliseconds separates 3 cars on track, Rage, Inception and LMN. So that Red Bull camp, very tight in terms of pace.
And it's going to be I think it'll be a close fight between them in the race as well, by the looks of it.
As Black Box is 10th up on his lap, so can he get into that pole position?
Well, he runs a little wide there, but lap still stands. So let's see, as he runs the line and he invalidates his lap at the final
so
corner.
missing out on a potential chance of pole position. As
Nevertheless,
I don't see
P3
any
is
of
not the
leaders.
worst place to start here.
As James is nearly a 10th up on his time, so I think the last driver to set a lap time, as he goes up into P8, so potentially not the qualifying he was looking for, but still firmly in the top 10.
And he has outqualified his teammate who invalidated his lap time, so won't get a second run. Not sure if anybody else is setting a flying lap.
I think that's it. I think it's just the game now. We're just going to wait for the timer.
Well, we did get into the 102s. As we said, Shender got a 102.4 in practice, and he got it again in qualifying. A bit of a close shave, only managed to get one lap in, but he looks to be on pole position here.
So, getting that lap in when it mattered.
And it's exactly what he needs if he can get a good start in the race in terms of the championship. Obviously, he retired from the last round in France, and that really hurt him in the points standings. He is ahead of Black Box.
It will be interesting to see what the. Actually, let me just go through the qualifying results now. As Shender, Hexagon, and Black Box complete the top three. As Rabuki, Rage, Inception, Element, James, Ruffy, and Patrick finish out the top 10. As Miguel, Ravaco, Lukester, Smike, Cyrus Kane, Bloodshed, all the ones that managed to set a lap time, but Tesla, Randy, and Manchio unable to set a lap time. As just confirming how tight those Red Bulls and AlphaTauris were, just 2 milliseconds separating P5 and P7, so expect some close battles in that Red Bull camp.
What's really a shame is that Randy is saying that he won't be able to join the session for the race, so it looks like he's not going to be able to start the race, and he wasn't able to set a lap time either because he was disconnected and he couldn't join the game, which is a huge shame for him.
Big shame, as Randy definitely trying to get back into a championship fight. As Shender reporting that his lap wasn't even the best lap time he could do. So, I mean, he did report that he could do a 102.2 in qualifying, so definitely he had more time in the bag. But it was good that he managed to just get one lap in the board, and that lap happened to have given him pole position.
If the close qualifying times are anything to go by, it looks like we have quite the race on our hands.
Yep, and drivers from P11 to P19. Those guys will still be doing the one stop, but let's see if they start on the softs or the mediums. They will have fresh softs in the race if they haven't burnt all of theirs in qualifying. But or they could opt for that comfortable medium to hard strategy. But the driver's not reporting any changes in the weather for the race, so I don't think there'll be any dramas.
Gonna say, do you reckon we'll ever have a race on the F1 game where the cars will actually go when the lights go out?
Hopefully in the next game, as yeah, it's been an ongoing issue when this game has come out. Let's pull up what tyres the drivers are on. As yeah, so P11 to P19, all on different strategies. Randy and Smike on soft tyres. I mean, Randy isn't in the race right now.
The only guy on the hard tyres, actually, so maybe if he can stretch them out long enough, he could go onto the softs at the end of this race. As
Randy has managed to join the lobby, so he won't be able to take part in this formation lap, so he's going to have very cold tyres at the start of the race, but luckily for him, he is able to get into this race, and he is on the soft tyres, so those tyres will get up to temperature quite quickly.
Looking for a monster first lap to make up for his qualifying woes. But it's good to see him in the race, because it would have been a shame for him to be absent because of technical issues. The predicted pit stop strategies, those starting on the softs, going for a one stop by the looks of it, will lap 14 to 16, and then go on to the mediums to the end. But as you said, Nikhil, tyre wear could be an issue here, so not guaranteed that every single driver will be able to make the one stop work here.
Yeah, I think the track conditions are pretty hot right now, even though it is on official time. So let's see who can look after those tyres the best as they're starting to line up now. Some of the drivers reporting earlier in the day turn one, how blind turn one is with the sun. So let's see if anyone does make mistakes into turn one, as obviously most of the assists are off, so they don't really have racing line to their advantage. As Randy not happy that his AI has put him on the soft tyres, as obviously he wasn't able to choose his own strategy. As the Alfa Romeo has now lined up, so we'll get the five red lights, but also a bit of a delay before the race starts. As the lights are out, just give it a few seconds as we'll start to get underway in a second. As we are now underway, the Haas does get a very good start.
Great
so
start
does
from
that
Shedder
Red Bull
from pole.
Of Rage. So can Rage
Rage is going down the inside of Black Box and up to third into turn 1.
As there's a bit of carnage at the back with a Renault. But let's see, as there is a fight at the top. As there's a Renault of Patrick out
has
in turn 1,
into turn 1. I'm not sure if he made contact with anybody else, but everybody else seemed to have got on cleanly. A little bit of argy-bargy into turn 1 from some of the guys at the back, to be honest. Meanwhile, Shender had a great start from pole position, and Black Box has gone back past the Red Bull, back into third place.
So managing to recover that pace as Shender getting a pretty strong start actually, but now let's see if we can extend that advantage.
The top two have already pulled out a second to Black Box in third, so...
As Randy being kicked out of the lobby again due to internet issues or the game just giving up on him, so not the best weekend for him. Let's see if he can get back into that race as he isn't that far behind the rest of the grid anyway.
So the big winners on lap 1 are Tesla, Manchio and It's Make, who have made 4 positions on the first lap, and of course Estima Patrick in the Renault down to plumb last after a spin into the turn 1.
The game glitch from Randy giving him a 49-second lap time, so there will be a bit of an issue with the fastest lap at the end of the race. So
if there's one consolation he can take away from it today, is he will have the fastest lap by a country mile. Meanwhile, the gap down to a 10th. Has Shender made a mistake, or has Hexagon just had a good run? Because they're going side by side now, and Hexagon takes the lead. So Hexagon taking the lead of the Grand Prix, the race. I'm not sure if it was still running side by side
now. As Shender getting a good exit as they go into turn 8 and 9. Shender managed to get back that P1, but how much ERS have these guys burnt? As Black Box is now just ready in the back, as DRS is now enabled.
Hexagon's down to 45% ERS, so he's used a hell of a lot of ERS on the first lap to attack Shender.
As Black Box is around 60%, so around equal ERS, but Hexagon has used around 20% more compared to Shender. So
meanwhile, behind we've got Element and Rabuki. Got very close there, and now Rabuki's under pressure from Inception. Inception's in DRS. He is closing in on the Williams. He pulls out. Can he make the move? No, it's not quite doing yet, but he's very close behind. In 7th place.
It'll be good to see who can slip one down the inside into that braking zone, as it is downhill, so it's pretty tricky. So it will all come down to who has the best braking feel in combat. As the pack has stretched out a bit from Tesla, so Tesla holding up P10 all the way down to P17. So on those medium tyres, I'm just training out as Black Box defending quite aggressively, just making sure that Rage doesn't get a slipstream from him.
And further down the order, there's a little bit of a battle brewing here between the 2 racing points of Tesla and Luxter, under pressure from It's Make in the Alfa Romeo, who's running on the soft tyres. Having said that, he has just picked up a 3-second penalty for track limits, but he has had a very good start, made 7 places into lap 1, so a penalty is not what he needs, as he goes down the inside of Luxter and into 11th in the Alfa Romeo.
The racing points holding up the rest of the pack, the gap now nearly 4 seconds to Ruffy, so it's going to be impossible. It's going to be hard to catch up, especially as these guys are on those harder tyres, so they really do want to be behind these soft runners, just so then they can use that tyre advantage when the tyre wear does kick in to make up positions. Up ahead, I think it's calmed down a bit. My Delta has gone, but I think Black Box is close to that Alfa Romeo right now.
The gaps seem a little bit similar to the final. Nobody's moved in particularly close at the front of the pack. Well, we have got the Ferrari of Ruffy right up the back of James in the McLaren, so looking for an overtake. Of course, both cars have DRS. He pulls out, doesn't quite make the move stick. Big lockup from James, so the battle for 8th and 9th really heating up.
The AlphaTauri of Bloodshed are spinning in turn 1, I think. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, there was a yellow flag, and now he's going very slowly. Also, I wonder what happened to looks like Miguel's made a pit stop for the hard compound tyres, because he's down in last place. And he is running on the hard, so...
pretty hard to get to the end of the race, but let's see what...
Unless he had damage, and he had no choice, but...
Definitely banking now.
Keep an eye on him for the rest of the race.
As Randy now reporting, his attempts to join back into the race are now done. The game keeps kicking him out, so unlucky for him, he won't be taking part in the rest of the weekend's proceedings, so hopefully he can bounce back next weekend.
Yeah, shame to see him go. But we have got a close fight, and his teammate, meanwhile, is now 1.4 seconds behind the battle for the lead. So he's going to be looking in his mirrors to the Red Bulls behind him.
Yeah,
as Ravako picks up a 3-second penalty.
Let's see who else is.
Yeah, Hexagon just staying in the DRS range of Schender. Not getting quite close enough, but as long as he's in that DRS range, he is a threat to the race leader.
As Smite gets another 3-second time penalty, so
he's going in very fast, but he is racing very hard right now as well. He needs to try and not get any more penalties, because it's going to ruin his race. And actually, I think him getting past the 2 racing points could be exactly what they wanted, because they've got Ravako behind on the hards, and they've got a bit of clear track for them to just run on those medium compound tyres and try and exploit the tyre advantage later on in this race.
As the gap between the Red Bull of Rage and Black Box 4/10 now, so definitely the closest, the second closest gap in that top pack.
And I just wonder now, since the 2 Red Bulls are under pressure from the AlphaTauri of Inception, who's going very strongly here, are we going to see a bit of team orders? Is one of the Red Bulls clearly quicker than the other one? At the moment it seems like they're staying put, but I wonder if they're going to swap positions at some point, if one does feel like they're quicker than the other. As
we did see some good displays of teamwork last weekend, especially between the Mercedes. Shame to see Black Box won't have a rear gunner of Randy to help him out in the race, but well, let's see what the Red Bulls can do. Can they overtake and put Black Box under pressure in that Mercedes?
Because at the moment they seem to have lost touch to the Mercedes in P3 for now. Black Box has moved back within DRS range of Hexagon, as Estima Patrick picks up another a 3-second penalty.
So leaders are managing to keep it clean. I'm not sure what warnings they are on right now, but they are keeping it clean, as the Red Bull of Rage right on the back of that wing now of Black Box. Will he send one into turn 3, sorry, no he won't. Will he wait for turn 4? Let's find out, as he's virtually pushing Black Box through that turn. So definitely having much more pace. Will he be able to send one? No, I don't think he will now, as he just lets Black Box know that he's there.
Big lockup from Black Box, so he's really pushing hard in that Mercedes. The closer Rage is on that back straight, the more of a chance he has of making a move into Sector 1.
As the Red Bull right up that wing now, so let's see. As Schender takes a massive track limits there, not getting a penalty, but definitely a warning for that.
So he's going to have to be careful not to get a penalty.
He was a bit squirrely, so are his tyres already starting to fade away? As you can see, Rage is right on that gearbox now, so will he mount attack into turn 3?
This looks like it could be the perfect place on the track if he was to make an overtake. DRS wide open now. Of course, Black Box will have DRS as well, but Rage is pulling out. He's not going to make the move because Black Box pulls to the inside.
So he's trying to go around the outside. Will he get that traction? Let's see. Yes, he does. He gets that traction on the outside.
Up into 3rd place. And now he's chasing down Hexagon. So it looks like Rage has got a lot of pace in that Red Bull at the moment.
Let's see what he can.
Schender locking up.
Can he also help his teammate?
The gap is closed down to 3/10, so the fight for the lead is very close at the moment between Schender, Rage. Black Box is still in there as well, and LMN will be hoping to close up to Black Box.
As Shender making sure he doesn't get any more warnings, because if he gets that 3-second penalty, he will drop out from his lead and he'll go all the way down to P6. That's how tight these guys are up front.
Such is the field spread right now, very close.
As let's see if the other Red Bull of LMN is able to overtake Black Box. And Black Box is just struggling with pace right now, I feel.
Rage seems to be flying at the moment in P3. He's right on the back of Hexagon now.
As he has created around a 6, 7, 10 gap to that Mercedes, so Black Box starting to fall away slowly. Maybe he set a few too many laps on those soft tyres, so they're starting to fall away quicker than the rest of the guys. I'm not 100% sure.
There is a little bit of a battle between Ruffy and Rabuki for 8th and 9th. And James in the McLaren in 7th, so for the minor points positions we have got some cars close together on track as well.
I was just checking the details to see how old those tyres are. They are saying 9 laps, but I don't think that's right, as we're doing 10 laps already in the race. So the tyre graphic not 100% accurate.
Hexagon just lost touch to Shender by a couple of tenths here, but he is staying within a second as James picks up the penalty in 7th place. And that's going to drop him a few positions because he's got Ruffy and Rabuki right behind him, and that could see him drop down to 10th if the race finishes in these positions. As Ruffy has DRS on James and he pulls to the inside, and he's ahead before the braking zone, so the Ferrari of Ruffy going strongly in P7.
Going a bit deep, so can that McLaren of James get better traction and overtake? Yes, he does.
And he's got DRS as well, so he could try and make a move. Not the easiest place to make a move, as Ruffy just covers that line there. And Rabuki's right behind to potentially pick up the pieces of this battle.
Smike reporting that he just had no grip on his car and that's how he retired from this race. So unlucky for him, the reserve driver in that Ferrari or Alfa Romeo, I believe. As is Black Box going into the pits? I think he is.
He does, he dives into the pit, so feeling that tyre wear or potentially feeling that an undercut is on the cards here. So let's see what tyres he goes on to.
As he did very well not to cut the pit entry, so in the race. So
URL Tesla picking up a 3-second penalty. Black Box onto the hard compound tyres here, so
they will
gonna go for a long second stint. Could be his final stint if he can stretch them out.
They definitely can go to the end, as the pit window for those mediums is around lap 16, I believe. So the hard tyres.
The 2 racing points getting close on track now, so they might be swapping positions here.
They've only managed to gain a second to the leads to the back end of the soft runners, so not the best running from those guys so far. Definitely held each other up in
now we see Tesla getting ahead of Lukester, although Tesla does have a penalty, so while he does have the pace on track, in terms of finishing position he has got 3 seconds to add to his race time.
There's Racing Point still choosing to battle it out, losing time. So potentially not the best of teamwork. I'm sure Otmar isn't that happy on the pit wall.
Meanwhile, we've got Inception coming into the pits now, so some of these soft tyre runners are coming into the pits. The pit stop predictor did say around lap 14 to 15, but seems like some of these guys are feeling the tyre wear and going in a little early, as Inception in the AlphaTauri goes onto the medium tyres.
Sorry to interrupt, Hexagon and Shender going side by side into turn 3. Shender just managing to brake deeper, but can Hexagon get that traction? The outside is pretty powerful around this track, as he does. He is pulling ahead of... They're going side by side into turn 4.
Shender looks like he might have the inside line. They both lock up, there's contact.
As
Shender does just about stay ahead, but they did touch wheels there, and that was really getting the elbows out. Neither driver looking to give an inch.
Apologies, I couldn't get a good camera angle. The game not giving me the best of camera angles for that battle.
It looks like this battle is going to continue for the next few laps. We've got a very close battle for the lead once again here, so great to see, as Rage is right behind Hexagon, so it's a 3-way fight for the lead at the moment. And none of the top 3 opting to pit, but LMN does come into the pits, and Shender's picked up a 3-second penalty from the lead, so this could be a very big moment in this race.
First of the leaders to get the penalty. We've seen how close they are, so that could drop him down to around P6 in this race if it's that tight towards the end of the race.
So talking about the racing points, now would be their time to really unleash any pace they have left on these medium compound tyres, running in 4th and 5th.
As Hexagon slips one down the inside of Hexagon, sorry to interrupt, mate, but Rage just pulls one now. Can he go? Yes, he will. He will attempt
He's
one
going to
into
take the
turn
lead
4.
as well. Wow, we said he was flying on those soft compound tyres, but he's gone from 3rd to 1st in the matter of corners, and Shender's dropped down to 3rd as Hexagon sneaks past him.
As Rage shows 2 special fingers to Hexagon and Shender and just says, "Goodbye, guys. I'm just going to slip one down the inside."
And now he's going to dive into the pits for good measure by the looks of it, so making the move stick, and now he's going to come into the pits.
The leader's respecting the pit entry, which is what we like to see. So let's see what tyres these guys do go on. As the racing points will temporarily take the lead, but definitely Rage and Lock.
So Rage coming onto the medium compound tyres, and we've got Hexagon going onto the... He's going onto the mediums as well.
So
and all 3 of them going onto the medium tyres. So let's see.
Mediums will go to the end, but let's see if Black Box and Inception could get an undercut. Yes, they have. So they have managed to get a pretty large undercut on these guys, but they will be on the medium tyres. So let's see if they can push on.
Black Box on the hard tyres. So it's going to be a case of him having track position, but the others on the faster tyre. So they're going to be chasing him down in the next few laps. And Black Box is in a bit of traffic. He's behind the Williams of Cyrus Kane, almost pushing him along the straight. We'll want to make that move as quickly as possible.
Won't hold him up in too much. As
he has big lockup on those tyres. He doesn't really want to take too much life out of them either, to be honest.
The only advantage I feel the Hards will have is that they will set the same lap time from now till the end of the race. They're very durable, but they're not that quick. So even towards the end of the race, Black Box and Inception, if they do ever get overtaken between now and the end of the race, they will be able to come back at the end of the race quite easily.
Yeah, and all those things depend on also drivers not picking up penalties and cutting through the traffic, as Black Box is coming up to the last of
Inception
his
going pretty wide in the last turn, so definitely getting a warning for that.
And actually, Rage is only a second or so behind Inception.
So Black Box
the man
now
who
in
took
free
the
air.
lead in the last sector before he made his pit stop is closing in on the...
As Rivako sending one down the inside, so not making Black Box's life any easier, which he's not inclined to do. So Black Box really just needs to get past, try and pull away, because these guys
he's going to have another go. And Rivako did start the race on those hard compact tyres, so he's going very long here, and it's obviously crucial to his race that he keeps his track position as well, as Black Box does make the move stick in the end.
As Hexagon and Rage very close behind on those medium tyres, so let's see how quick they can go through this so-called traffic. I would say out of sync drivers, sorry. So let's see how they can go, because Black Box is able to just now pull away. The gap now 8/10 to Rivako. So if he can get with it outside at 1 second, he looks pretty comfortable. Unless Inception
crucial
has
part of the race for him as well, because the bigger the gap he can stretch out, I guess he's hoping for the likes of Rage and Hexagon to trip up in traffic, and that could give him an extra buffer towards the end of the race. He has used a lot of his ERS though.
Outside of Rivako. Let's see if he can get by. Yes, he will. A bit of contact, but let's see if he can get good traction in that Alpha Tauri. Yes, he does. So let's hope
Rivako
that
with DRS, but it doesn't look like he's going to gain too much on the straight.
As Manchio gets another 3-second time penalty.
The 2 racing points out in front, still running about 3 seconds ahead of Black Box. Not sure they're going to be coming into the pits anytime soon though, unless they're thinking of going onto the hard tyres.
And let's hope they don't come into the box at the same time.
Oh, that would be
I don't
disaster,
think these drivers are communicating.
Oh, and one of them does
radio.
pit. Looks like Luxter comes into the pit, so perhaps he is going to go onto the hard tyres.
Trying to get that undercut and just trying to pull away from his teammate. As no, it's actually Tesla that boxes, mate.
Okay, so, interesting. And he's going to have to serve his penalty in the pits, if I remember correctly.
I think he only has 3 second corner cutting, so those penalties don't get served in the box.
Okay.
It's only 5 seconds or 10-second penalties. As Black
Meanwhile,
Box not able to
Hexagon
pull
and
away
Rage
from
getting
Inception.
past Ravako. Inception seems to be ahead of them, so they're going to be closing in on Inception now, just 4
As
seconds
Inception
behind.
is taking the net lead, overtaking Black Box.
Black Box.
He is on the medium
And
tire,
Inception's
so
on the medium tyre, so he's going to have the pace to pull away from Black Box right now.
But he did pick very early in this race, so he will struggle towards the end. It could be a similar situation to France, just getting a puncture on the last lap. Obviously, you don't want to jinx it, but it's a very high chance that he could get
It is
that
a
puncture.
possibility.
Unless
Not
he
one
is
that I'm
trying
sure
that two-stop.
He could go onto the softs at the end and have some. He will have a lot of pace, but he will have some positions to make up as well.
That two-stop can be pretty powerful if you have the pace. So Inception will be trying to pull away. We did find out, obviously it was a different track last time, that it is hard to pull away, especially with how close these drivers are together in terms of pace.
And so drivers yet to stop are of course your race leader at the on the track, Lukester, Ravako, Cyrus Kane, and I was going to say Bloodshed Sticks, but he has just come into the pits in the AlphaTauri.
Shender just falling away now. He's behind LMN, but he is trying to overtake that Red Bull, but
he's gone down the inside. It's a bit of an aggressive move there, but he does make it stick, and he's up into 6th place.
Because he has managed to overtake, but he's starting to fall away now. So that early pace, or just that early advantage from pole position, not the true story of what his race pace is like right now, I don't think.
He's got a penalty for good measure, so if he can find some pace towards the end of the race, that would be ideal for him. As Inception gets a 3-second penalty, so another one of the front runners getting a penalty, and at the moment that would drop him behind Rage.
Pretty much almost certain, as I did see him exceed 2 times, so he was only on 1 warning until he got a penalty. Black Box still only 4 tenths behind, so I suspect Black Box could just stay behind, save that ERS, as he can use Inception to get pulled. He can get pulled along by Inception, because the gap to Rage is at 1.5 seconds, so still pretty far for that Red Bull. Still pretty far away from that Red Bull is.
They are now very close to Lukester in the lead. They have closed up to the racing point, which is yet to pit, so they don't want to lose any time behind that racing point. So in an ideal world, I guess for them, Lukester will come into the pits, but it looks like he's staying out.
We could see that little tiny
he is coming.
As he is, but he has cut the entry,
so he's out of the way.
I think he might get a penalty for that, as I'm sure he did cut the entry.
So there's a set of soft tyres waiting in the pit lane for Lukester, so he's put on a set of softs in the racing point. And Cyrus Kane comes into the pits as well. He's going onto the softs as well.
With the lower fuel, so yeah.
It will be interesting to see what kind of progress they can make. And now Ravako's the only driver who hasn't made a stop yet. Still running in P7 on those hard compound tyres that he started the race on.
Definitely going for a more comfortable one stop onto those soft tyres, so expect him to pit in the next 2-3 laps.
And those drivers pitting promotes the McLaren of James back up into the top 10, but he has lost out on the battle for 8th between himself, Ruffy in the Ferrari, and Rabuki in the Williams. They seem to be quite spread out now, where they were very close before the pit stops. So Ruffy and the Ferrari, the big winner in that battle on the hard compound tyres, and when Ravako pits, it will put him back up into P7.
But more importantly, Ruffy in the points. Can he score the first points for Ferrari this season? I think
actually, he did score. I believe it was a 3rd place awarded to him after the race in France.
Oh yes, sorry, penalties. With the penalty situation, my bad. So yeah, looks like he's not going to get to those fortunes as last time out.
But nevertheless, good to see Ferrari scoring points again, because they were pointless for most of the opening rounds of this season, and Ruffy going strongly here once again.
Shender now 2 tenths behind Hexagon, so he's really trying to repair those early errors, as Element starting to fall back now, 2 seconds behind. So that lightning pace Element showed last race is not here today, but his
and now all of the top 5 top 5 all separated very closely once again. Inception and Black Box.
Rage definitely the star. To me personally, the star driver, especially with that overtake, but also the amount of pace he has.
He's got a lot of pace in that Red Bull, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for some moves in the next few laps on the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri.
As Inception in a net P5 right now, so starting to fall away. Shender still in a net P6. Let's hope that Element
finally pit.
up.
Sorry to interrupt, but the final driver now onto the soft tyres, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit more comfortable for him. He comes out in P12 and he's jumped both McLarens. Although it looks like the McLaren of Miguel had come into the pits to change from hards to mediums.
As
and James goes very deep into the top of the hill, so either struggling for grip or just having a bit of a rough day at the moment.
As those soft runners of Cyrus Kane and Ravaka still have a long way to get into those points. So the Racing Points able to have pulled away in that first stint, but the soft
looks like they made their strategy work. As Rage gets a 3-second penalty now as well, so the guy that we were just talking about as a contender to win this race with the most pace at the moment got a 3-second penalty, and that's not going to help him at all because Hexagon is sitting pretty behind him, as actually he's going side by side with Shender as I speak, but it looks like he's in a good position to win this race without a penalty, as he does stay ahead of Shender.
I was just going to say, if I was Rage, I would just hang back and save that ERS and then just mount an attack on Black Box towards the end.
He is mounting an attack on Black Box as you speak, but he isn't holding back. He's through these corners, not necessarily an overtaking opportunity, but he's going to try and stay as close as he can to have the best run in time on the big straights in
he's
Sector 1.
Now really going to have to flex that pace he showed earlier in this race and try and overtake these cars to pull away to get that 3-second gap. So,
yeah, now that you do mention it, if he does have enough pace, he might be able to pull out a gap. It's a bit of a tall order, but he might be able to pull out enough of a gap to get him into a good position at the end of the race.
As adding a bit of insult to injury, Randy's AI is still driving around and is about to get lapped. So just reminding us, and also potentially reminding him if he's watching, that he's not in this race. Shame for him today.
Yeah, I'm sure if he is watching the stream that he will very much appreciate you mentioning that.
As Tesla gets another 3-second time penalty, so definitely
big shame for Tesla actually, because he is running in the points, he had some good pace, but those penalties are not helping him out at all.
As Manchio gets another 3-second time penalty, so the driver is now starting to pick up those penalties again, as I think Shender and Hexagon are going side by side once again. These two inseparable in today's race, definitely getting those elbows out, as you mentioned earlier.
Hexagon just staying ahead for now, but there's a couple of straights coming up, and I'm sure Shender's got the bit between his teeth now. He's not going to be happy with the penalty, and he's going to want to regain the position ahead of Hexagon as they lap the Mercedes.
As Hexagon Shender getting a bit squirrely in the last turn, lapping Randy's AI.
Black Box still running behind Inception despite being in DRS. I'm sure he'll want to clear him if he can, because he has got a very fast Red Bull of Rage behind him.
But so those hard tyres will be more consistent in terms of lap times. So let's see if he can just stay behind. He is using that DRS pretty well, just sticking behind.
And Shender not close enough to have a go at the moment this lap, but he is still within a second of Hexagon. Both of them have dropped back a little bit from the battle for the lead at the moment.
Black Box trying to make amends after that puncture in the last race, so let's hope that he can get some good points today for his championship.
Speaking of points, in the lower points positions, we've got Rabuki on the hard tyres in the Williams, being chased down by Lukester on the softs in the Racing Point. As actually Rabuki has a bit of a moment there and he almost spins, and that allows Lukester to go straight through and up into 8th place. So Rabuki making a mistake there and costing him 8th place in this race.
As the AlphaTauri of Bloodshed spinning at turn 1, so just waiting for the perfect moment to rejoin the track.
Cyrus Kane picking up a penalty. Bit of a He's had a bit of a mare bloodshed today. I think that's not the first time he's had a spin
Yes, he's
in
not.
this race.
So definitely not finding turn one pretty nice.
Yeah, and the McLarens, once again, having a bit of an interesting strategy, similar to the last race. James has made his second stop, now down to 15th place on the medium tyres. So
Rage was trying, as he is just sticking his nose into the start of sector 2. So definitely now trying to get a move on and trying to pass Black Box. I saw the gap closing a bit, and I didn't expect him to try and send one into that turn.
let's see if he has another go into sector 1. He's just as close as he was.
I think
Going around the final, both cars going
move
through cleanly. As Shender picks up another time penalty, so that's a huge shame for him.
As he's
And actually,
DNF'd.
what's happened to Shender? He's out of the race.
So he's
Has he
DNF'd
disconnected?
into
Has
the,
he crashed?
I think he's just gone into the box and DNF.
Big shame for Shender, another DNF.
Sorry to interrupt, mate, but Rage is now mounting attack into turn 3. Round the outside, he will get better traction than that Mercedes. Can he just pull it off? Trying to get that slipstream
Still
from
pulling
inception.
alongside, he's got DRS. He is on the outside, but the line's being covered by Black Box. He's on the better half of the track. Can he sweep it round the outside? No, because Inception almost acted like a bit of a break for them and prevented Rage from going round the outside.
Will he try again into here? No, he won't. But it's just letting Black Box know that he is there. He really does need to try and overtake and pull that gap.
The Shender reporting that he lost his brakes into Hexagon, so maybe he must have had a bit of a moment and maybe even crashed into the back of Hexagon, but that's what seems to be the issue, and that's why he's not in this race.
Unlucky for him, he definitely did have some strong pace at the start of the race, but just picking up those penalties.
It's a huge shame because he has, looking at the standings, he's won every race that he's finished, but it's his third DNF of the season, and he was emerging as a title contender to Black Box. But with drivers like Rage and LMN emerging with pace, it looks like he's going to fall down the standings after this race.
Hexagon now trying to mount an attack on Rage, so the Alfa Romeo deciding it's his turn to try and pull off some moves.
If I had placed a bet on one of these guys to win, I would be very nervous right now because they seem to be swapping positions left, right and centre here.
As Inception still having decent pace on those 15 lap old medium tyres, so they are going to start falling away now slowly. But let's see if Black Box is able to use those hard tyres and overtake Inception.
We have got Miguel and Mimancio fighting for 12th and 13th, so there's plenty of little battles going on down the field, and some guys such as Lukester and Ruffy really benefiting from their respective strategies, running in 6th and 7th at the moment. So some impressive drives going on right now.
As Rage is now under attack from Hexagon once again, so I was suspecting he was just trying to compose himself and mount an attack on Black Box, but instead he's looking behind and Hexagon down the inside.
Hexagon goes down the inside, and they're going to go side by side into the next traction zone. Rage stays ahead, but Hexagon's going to have DRS and he's going to have the slipstream as well. So let's see, will he mount another overtake?
DRS,
he pulls
so
out.
Hexagon has nothing in his battery. Meanwhile, Rage has around 17%. So
Black Box is on 50%, so he's got plenty to defend at the moment. As the McLaren of James picks up another penalty.
But I think Black Box not even a good second sector, as he has fallen away slightly from Inception and is in the clutches of Rage.
So he's going to be under attack by the looks of it, and Rage will be looking both in front of him and behind him because he's trying to attack Black Box, but he's going to have to try and defend from Hexagon as well. Black Box really pulling out of the slipstream of Rage to try and make an effort to not get overtaken here.
As Rage getting a very good exit through turn 1. Can he slip one around the outside?
Looks to be a little bit far away at the moment, but he's going to try and have a run through this next.
Definitely braking much later than Black Box.
Those medium tyres probably having a bit more grip at this stage. Seem to be staying put for now. They're not as close together as they were on the last lap. And one driver we haven't spoken about, probably because he has a penalty, but actually Inception's doing well to hold the lead at the moment on the medium tyres, and
Currently,
He's going to
in
be
a
thankful that he's
net
not getting tangled up in the battle at the moment.
Yeah, currently the net P4 element just falling off from these leaders, 3 seconds behind. So definitely not having a good day compared to his last weekend's performance in that Red Bull. One thing that is pretty comparable to last race is that the Red Bull family of Inception, Rage and Element, even though Element has fallen away slowly, they are still in this top pack and in this fight for the win. So definitely showing how strong that those group of drivers was. As Hexagon slips one down the inside of Hexagon, of Rage, sorry, my bad.
And Rage is going to have to try and come back because Hexagon's made the move stick here. And Rage with DRS is going to try everything he can to swoop round the outside, and they're still going side by side. And he's going to do everything he can to get back up to that third place. As he goes down the inside now, pushing Hexagon as wide as he possibly can, and he takes that third place back. So great racing to see there.
Not too pleased with that little tap, but
yeah, Rage didn't take it. He did take some liberties there, perhaps, pushing Hexagon a little wide.
As there's only 4 laps left in this race, so the race going pretty quickly. But
this race has flown by, and it doesn't help that we've had some amazing action, and any one of these drivers could still win this race. And talking about Tesla, despite his penalties, as he does have a bit of a moment actually as I say this, so maybe I'm putting a bit of a commentator's curse on some of these drivers here today, but Tesla closing in on Rabuki, so even if he may not hold it after the race on track, he might be able to get that 8th place off the Williams.
As
well, it looks like
Shender,
Rage just closed back up to black box.
Shender just exclaiming how annoyed he is with the game and how and just with this race itself.
He does say he was held up in the pits, which can be incredibly frustrating because there's nothing that you can do about it when you're sitting there in the pit lane.
Definitely didn't help that Rage managed to overtake him before the pit, before they started to pit. So, of course, you get a bit of bad luck in racing. That's just how it is. But definitely a shame for him.
Yeah, it's always a shame to see a car fighting at the front fail to finish because he was closing up on Hexagon behind him, so he would be another car to add to this battle that we're seeing right now. As actually Black Box getting very close to Inception as he locks up through the corner.
I was just going to say here, the gap was around a tenth. He was just thinking about slipping one down the inside, but just refraining from that. So those hard tyres will come into their own in these last 3 laps of the race.
There is a McLaren, I believe, of James a bit further up the road, so hopefully doesn't get in the way of this fight for the lead. I'm sure he'll, as Hexagon picks up a 3-second penalty, so now everybody except for Black Box has got a penalty, and it looks like he's in a prime position as he tries to go for a move on Inception to win this race.
As yeah, I mean, Black Box could just potentially not worry about
if he can keep it clean
and
and not pick up a penalty, then he could win this race here.
He could technically be overtaken and still get this win, but I'm sure he doesn't want to win like that. But
no, I'm sure in his mind he wants to get past Inception and just bring it home to the checkered flag. But he has got Rage right behind him now, and I'm sure Rage and Hexagon will want to finish as high up as they can.
As let's see if Black Box can use any leftover ERS and take P1 on the last lap as they're approaching the last lap now. As he's definitely showing Inception that he is there by just giving him a little, as he is in the traction zone, getting just beautiful traction and just takes Inception already up into before turn 3 even approaches.
And you've got Hexagon now trying to make a move as
Inception
they've all
has just
gotten past
fallen away
Inception
on
now.
this last lap.
He held the lead for pretty much the whole second stint, and now he's fighting, going side by side with Hexagon, both cars locking up, and Hexagon makes the move.
Definitely all gloves off now on this last lap, and all the drivers is using anything they have left in the tank, as Inception is just being swamped.
And big advantage now to as Black Box comes around the final corner. The championship leader comes home to win in Austria, and he didn't have any penalties, so the win is going to stand. Managed to make those hard tyres last, and excellent drive to win the race.
As Inception did get a puncture on the last lap, his rear right punctured, so
it is something that we did predict, and however unfortunate it is, it's a shame to see, because he was leading this race for much of it. Looks like he's going to come back to finish in 6th.
As Ruffy, due to penalties, gets promoted up the grid a bit more, up to P5. So
another great race for the Ferrari, and
so definitely trying
two top 5 finishes in a row.
Definitely trying to inject some life back into that Ferrari team, giving them the points. So good to see that.
Good to see him finishing in the points. A shame for his teammate Mancio, who did finish 12th in the end. Actually, he was a substitute, I believe, today.
Ferrari shipping in an Italian reserve to fill in the boots for that second Ferrari. As Luke's gets driver of the day, but I was going to ask you, Vivek, who do you think your driver of the day is today?
There are a few contenders, I would say. I would say Black Box is a contender for just keeping it clean and keeping a cool head and defending and winning the race. I would say Ravaco is a bit of a dark horse here, because he started on the hards. I believe he started outside the top 10, and he managed to make the one-stop strategy work to finish in 8th. So yeah, we've got a few drivers, and of course the Racing Point of did actually have a good race to finish in 7th place of Lukester. So few drivers in there. Nikhil, who would you say is your driver of the day?
I'd say definitely Rage, especially with that double overtake. But just looking at the race results now, after the penalties have been applied, Black Box, Rage, Hexagon round out that top 3 with LMN, Ruffy, Inception, Lukester, Ravaco, Rabuki, and Tesla rounding out that top 10. With Cyrus Kane, Miguel, Mancio, Randy, James, Bloodshed, Chender, and Smike and Patrick rounding out the rest of the grid. So a few disappointments in today's race. Shame to see Randy couldn't race, and Shender retiring, but at the end of the day, that's racing. But yeah, I would like to say thank you guys for joining in today's race. Hopefully we provided you with some good commentary and also an entertaining race. Any closing thoughts, Vivek?
Yeah, another very exciting race, another very close battle for the lead. So Black Box extending his championship lead, but definitely join us again in Silverstone, because it's looking to be a very close championship.
Yes, let's see if we can get some bit of an overtaking frenzy in Silverstone with that slingshot effect onto that hanger straight. But yeah, definitely join in to see the Silverstone race next time. And from us, we'd like to say goodbye, take care, and stay safe.